Hello, everyone, and welcome to our AWS series. Today, we're going to talk about Amazon's another service. It's pretty cool service. Again, this is Amazon's AWS or AWS CloudFormation or Amazon CloudFormation service. So I'm sharing some of Amazon's official documentation and terminology here around the CloudFormation. So what exactly is CloudFormation? So the CloudFormation, gives the developers and system administrator an easy way to create and manage a collected or a collection of related AWS resources. So the collection of AWS resources like EC2 instance, security groups, your key pairs, S3 bucket, and many more things. So you can create and manage a collection of related AWS resources, provision them, and obviously we can update them in an orderly and predictable fashion. So AWS CloudFormation, uses a template, or we can start from a sample template, or we can use our own template, and based on those template, we can go ahead and create our resources. So these template basically describes the AWS resources, any associated dependency, any runtime parameters, and any other thing application they're required to run. So all that kind of things we'll go ahead and configure as a part of our template. Once the template is done, and one more thing that we write the template in the JSON format. So it's a key pair, guys. Hopefully you remember that. CloudFormation takes care of rest of the things. So after the AWS resources are deployed, you can modify and update them in again controlled manner. You can deploy and update a template and its associated collection of resources. So all this collection of resources, we call them a stack basically. You can create a stack, you can delete a stack. Again, you can manage that stack using the GUI or the command line. Again, as usual, CloudFormation is available at no additional charges. You only pay for the AWS resources that basically you use. You can also virtualize your template as diagrams. So they have a GUI also that is known as a CloudFormation Designer. We'll go through that too. So we discussed earlier, you can deploy and update a template and associated collection of resources called the stack, pretty much. So now there are a lot of support for a wide range of AWS resources. We discussed earlier, EC2 instance, S3 buckets. It's pretty easy to use. CloudFormation makes it easy to organize and deploy a collection of AWS resources. It's pretty declarative and flexible. That's a good thing. You need to declare, guys, whatever we need. And this is also known as sometime infrastructure as code. It can be used separately to create identical copies of the same stack. You can spin up multiple instances of the same thing. And as it says, the templates are simple JSON formatted text file that can be placed under your normal source control mechanism. Probably you can use something like Git, stored in a private or public location such as Amazon S3. Customized by parameters, you can configure different parameters. For example, like you can pass the RDS database size, EC2 instance type, your security group, you want to whether elastic IP address or not, and all that kind of things. Pretty cool things you can pass in the form of parameters. Again, visualize and edit, you can use the CloudFormation Designer, integration ready. You can integrate with a lot of other stuff. So we talked about the CloudFormations as templates. So let's go ahead and see how the template looks like. So before we really jump into CloudFormation, we really need to understand the CloudFormation template, guys. So as it says, before we go further, we should cover the basics of template. So I'm not going to go through the whole document. It's available there. You can go ahead and read that in more in detail. But just to understand few basic things, a template is a declaration of the AWS resources, guys, that make up a stack. So you can have multiple resources. The template is stored as a text file, basically, in the JSON format. Because text file, you can create and edit them in any editor, pretty much. In the template, you use a JSON structure. So we'll use a JSON structure and then declare AWS resource, so the one you create and configure. Okay. And like I says, an AWS CloudFormation template begins with the open brace and ends within a closed brace. You can read more on these ones. So let's go ahead now. Let's start with the most basic template. It says only a resource object. So there is something we're going to create a resource object, which contains a single resource declaration. So if you look at the example here, so open brace, closed brace, that's what you saw. So the resource, we are giving a name hello bucket. we're defining a type, and then we're saying AWS colon colon S3 colon colon bucket. So what are all these things, guys? So the resource object contains a list of resource objects contained within braces. So this is one of the resource within the AWS. A resource declaration contains a resource attribute. So we can go ahead and configure the resource attribute. And this, we haven't configured anything. We'll go ahead and configure. A resource must have a type. So before you can use, you need to have a type for your resource. Like in our example, the type is S3 bucket, which defines the kind of resources you want to create. So in this example, it says we want to create an S3 bucket. The type attribute has a special format. So the format, guys, how do we type the type? It's AWS colon colon product identifier. In this case, S3 colon colon resource type. So we are talking the bucket. So like it says, the example resource type for an Amazon S3 bucket would be AWS colon colon S3 colon colon bucket. And there is a huge list out there, and I'll show you a couple of examples from there. So let's take a look at very basic template. The following template declares a single resource type of a bucket with the name hello bucket. So this is the name of this bucket. There are a couple of things. Same thing. We can use the EC2, and as we said, resource declaration use a properties attribute to specify the information used to create a resource. So we can go ahead and assign the properties, guys. So if I want to do something with an EC2 instance, my type would be AWS colon colon EC2 colon colon instance. Same thing that we saw for the S3 bucket. Usually a property for resource is simply a string value. Okay, so in this case, like as we said, okay, this is our hello bucket, which is nothing but we are calling an S3 bucket, and then we are specifying the properties here. So properties, this is the type again, or key. Access control, we are making it as a public read. So hopefully you get an idea. You can define your resources and you can define their properties. So now if we further drill down, we are configuring two properties here. One is access control and one is website configuration. For website configuration, we are saying index document is this, error document is this. So I'm sure you are getting an idea, or what are this CloudFormation template all about. So you go ahead and declare all of this JSON template, what you want, and then every time you can go ahead and make use of the same template, or you can make some minor changes and go ahead and spin up some more different instances or whatever you want. We just call them our stacks. As it says, one of the greatest benefit of template in AWS CloudFormation is the ability to create a set of resources that work together to create an application or solution. So basically, you can create a huge JSON template that will, once you deploy it, will bring up all your everything. Let's take an example. You can deploy a 3-tier application where you can have a database server, app server, and a web server. We don't have to, go ahead and create those things manually. As another further example, like here, the resource type, we are saying an EC2 instance. This is our type. Property, we are saying security group. So if you say that in the security group, guys, we are not declaring security group, but we are doing a reference to this name, instance security group. So further down, we have declared more values here. We are saying for the type, we are talking the security group. These are property, description, ingress rule, same thing, protocol TCP. I'm sure as you understand from 22 to port 22, CIDR is just allowing access to everything. So hopefully you get a good idea about the template, the JSON structure, and that we can go ahead and make use and deploy. You can specify your key ID. You can specify the image ID. When we are spinning up this instance, we'll use this image ID to bring up the instance. And again, security group. So we can go ahead and specify the types too. This is the key name, our image ID for the instance, and this is our security group expanded in more details. And again, we are configuring some of the things, like in second, this is an example for the CloudFront, I'm sorry. We are creating a distribution. We are specifying these some of the details, domain name, ID. This is my origin. This enable caching behavior, some of the viewer protocol policy. So hopefully you get an idea that about the template. So before you can start really making use, you can go ahead and like here you are defining a region map for your different AMI image. So if you are in East 1, it's going to use this image. If you are in West, if you are in availability zone West 1, it will pick this AMI image to go ahead and deploy the instance. So that we can create a mapping based on the region. It will go ahead and pick up a certain AMI image, guys. Hopefully you get some idea. I would certainly encourage, if you want to learn more about the CloudFormation, go ahead and look some of the Amazon's official documentation. It's pretty good out there. Has very good information, guys. Okay, now let's go ahead and look at some of the properties as I discussed earlier, some of the template reference. So here is a pretty huge list. You can look the different resource type, their property. So look at some of the, we'll look at some of the resource types here pretty quick. So go to the resource type and you can see there's a huge list, pretty good list out there. Whatever things that you can, type inside your JSON template or your CloudFormation template. So let's take an example here. We'll go maybe EC2. You guys are familiar with EC2. Let's see what are the things we can do with EC2. So with EC2, you can define a lot of things, guys. You can define volumes if you want, security groups. You can your key name, your image ID that you want to use to spin up your instance, and then if you scroll down, it will give you a pretty good descriptive details what this property is all about. What are we doing, and some of the other things. Let's go ahead and look at something else pretty quick. We'll go ahead and look maybe S3 we talked earlier. So let's go to the S3 bucket, and you can see with the S3 bucket there are different things you can do. Access control, logging, website configuration we saw. If you want to enable versioning configuration, if you want more detailed versioning configuration, just go ahead and click on the versioning configuration, and we'll go ahead and show you some of the details. Versioning configuration, so you can go ahead and click on this one, guys. It will give you some more details. What are the different things? So hopefully, I'm sure you got a good idea about the AWS CloudFormation, and where we can. Okay. Okay, guys, give me a second. Let me just see. I'm having some issue launching my AWS. So let me go ahead and log into my AWS Management Console. Give me a few minutes here. Okay, guys, give me a few seconds. I'm just launching my console. So hopefully I will be. Okay, let me go ahead and share. Hopefully you guys are able to see my screen. Let me just make sure that I'm sharing. Okay. Okay. So now we are logged onto our AWS Management Console, guys. So it's pretty cool and pretty easy, like as we discussed earlier. So let me go ahead and there are a few things that are provisioned here. So there are no instance, but I have a key pair. I'll tell you what I'm using this key pair. Let me go ahead and make a note of my key pair name here for this tab. Uh, Give me a second. Let me just make sure. Okay, now let's go back, guys, to management console. So we will go back to, we are logged on to AWS Management Console. Now we'll go ahead and click on CloudFormation. So under Management Tool, you would see CloudFormation. What it says, create and manage resources with the templates. That's the whole idea, guys, okay? So let's go ahead and click on CloudFormation here. Design a template. We can go ahead and design a template. I'll show you in a few minutes. You can create a stack or create a template from an existing resource. So we'll go ahead and create a very simple stack here. So let's go ahead and we'll use something existing here. So you can design a template. So you can open a design template. So let's go ahead and click on design. No, let's go back, guys. One pretty quick second. Let's go ahead and stick. First of all, create our. Then I'll walk you through maybe. So let's go ahead and click on our create a stack. So you can design. You can choose a template existing. So now we will choose an existing template just to start off. I'm not creating any template. I'll show you. So there are different templates, sample templates out there. So there is a lamp stack. If you select a, so I'll just show you. We'll go ahead and start probably a WordPress blog just to start our stack. So you can go ahead and let me just use as added template in designer. I'm going to go ahead and open this new tab. It automatically picks up the JSON template from an S3 bucket. So just simply go ahead and click next here, guys. It's asking for a stack name, so we can say CloudFormation demo. We can go ahead and specify a database name. It says WordPress DB, so let's go ahead and enter a database password, guys. Here, that would be the admin. So I'll go ahead and enter some password. The MySQL root password. Our DB database user. So I'm just going to call it. Okay, and the instance type that we'll be using for this demo, it's by default came to T2 small, so that's fine. And the key name, hopefully you remember, why we selected the key. So if you want to log into this instance, you would need your SSH key. So that was the whole idea, guys. That we wanted to make sure that's the key that we are using. SSH again, this is our rule, so pretty much from everywhere. And that's all. Just go ahead and click next here. It's asking for a key. This is again tag. If you want to go ahead and I'll go ahead and tag. I'll call it WordPress blog, guys. And again, in advanced, there are some notification and some of the other things. Stack policy and some other stuff. We're not doing that right now, so just simply go ahead and click next here. It shows this is the description, what it's going to do, some of the things. This is the template URL. So let's go ahead and open this URL template also in another tab. And just simply go ahead and click create here. Okay. So while this is running, you would see there are a few things. Right now, let's go ahead and move it up. So stack creation is in progress. This is our stack name. Right now it's in progress. And you can look at the overview outputs. I'll show you that. Click on the event. So now you can see it started to create some security groups. So it's creating a logical ID web server security group, guys. So we can look at the events tab to see what's going on. And this is the template. And if you look, this is a pretty big template. And let's look at some of the tag, some of the parameters that we supplied. Any stack policies? No. So let's go back to the events and let's keep monitoring. And you can see security group, create complete for security group, create in progress, EC2 instance, logical IDs, web server, resource creation initiated. While this is going on, guys, let's go back to the template. Let me zoom it a little bit. This is the template. This is a good description, parameter key name. We are using a key. Hopefully you recall. And that's the key. This is the type, and in the resource instance, that's the name you see, web server EC2 instance type. We are using T2 small. Allowed values. These were the allowed values that we could have used. SSH location, pretty much from default for our DB name. These are some of the default stuff that we defined. These are the mappings, guys, as I said earlier, what kind of stuff we can use, in what region, what are different image IDs that are supported, and quite a lot of good information. And the one good thing I just wanted to show you that you cannot just you make use of resources. You can even do some custom user data configuration also. So like you can go ahead and look here. We are creating some files. and we changing the mode, we changing the honors and group, source. So you can even specify some user data to part of these template. So let's go back and have a look and see 3 more events to display, and you can see receive success signal with unique this one, create complete for this guy, and it says that create complete. Okay, so that was pretty much. So what it went ahead and created a security group, and we supplied the key that we wanted to use when we want to spin up this web server, and it's been done. So now if we go back and they click on the services, and let's go back to EC2 guys. That was the key pair that we were using. Now let's go to the security group, and you can see it has created a security group here. Web security group, that was the name, WP, and if you look at the inbound rule, SSH and HTTP, that's what it's enabled by default. And if you go back to the instance type, here is our WP instance. We selected T2 type here, T2 small, and it's using that particular security group, guys. And if it's running initialization, so the alarm thing, let's see if we can access our web server here. And as you can see, so that was the whole. That's the whole point behind creating these stacks, guys. So now we can go ahead and before we delete, let me just show you something pretty quick. So we went inside the. This is our stack, okay? So let's go ahead and click on design template, and we can go ahead and open bucket URL. So let me go ahead and, guys, this is pretty big though, but I'll just show you here. And let's go ahead and open. So as you can see, it says, there is a web server and there is a security group, okay? So go ahead and click on web server. So once you click on web server, let's move a little up, guys, and let's make it a little small. Okay, and EC2 instance, and guys, these arrows, these represent the links pretty much, okay? And AWS EC2 security, ingress, egress stuff, and depends on some of the other things that we can configure. And if you go ahead and let's click on EC2 instance, that would make a little sense for you guys initially start off. You can look some of the properties, like I said, a resource, okay? Web server, type EC2 instance, image ID, depending on the region, we selected, find a map, we are looking to the map, and then we find the instance ID, okay? Again, for the instance type, we are referencing to the instance type. Security group, we are referencing web security group here. Key name, we are referring to the key name. This is the user data portion that I was talking, so you can supply some of your own custom stuff here, guys. Okay, so hopefully you got a little good idea. Now, if you look at the metadata, okay, some of the user-defined stuff, you can see a lot of user-defined, that information is out here. Now, if you go to creation policy, you can look at some of the creation policy. Deletion policy now depends on EC2 instance and all. Some of the conditions, if you go back and properties here, or you can click on simply the template to look back into the template form here, guys. Now, if we go ahead and now let's go ahead and click on security group, and for the security group, let's go back to the properties again. Let's go ahead and scroll up a little before we. So web security group, type of security group, port 80 and port 22, and these were being referenced inside the EC2 instance. And if you recall, that's where we were. We referenced all of these details, guys. So hopefully you get an idea. You can go ahead and drag and drop some of the components. Like, and just simply go to EC2. You want elastic IP address. You can go ahead and configure an elastic IP address, and some of that thing that we can go ahead and specify some of the properties. So it's pretty easy, guys. We can go ahead and make use of this one. Now let me go ahead and close this template and this cascade pretty quick. Okay. Now I wanted to show you guys template here, another very basic template. So this is another, we have a template here, and if you look the description, so we are creating a mapping. Okay, so whatever reason we are into, depending on that, it will pick up an AMI image, and this is the AMI image ID. So if I'm spinning up an instance in the East Coast, I will pick this as the AMI ID to bring up my instance. Under resources, we are declaring an EC2 instance, and we are saying image type. We are finding that inside map, depending on the region where we are spinning, and the instance type will be M1 small. So let's go ahead and make use of this one. And let's bring up an instance here, guys. Go back to services, go back to CloudFormation, go ahead and click on stack and specify the Amazon URL here, and just simply go ahead and click next here. We can call it a stack at like single EC2 instance, and just simply click next. We can give a name or something. I'm not doing anything. Just go ahead and click create. So in this, if you notice that part of this we have not configured any security groups, any key types. So that means we'll be able to launch this EC2 instance, but we'll not be able to connect because we haven't specified any security groups, any key to connect to that one. But you get the idea that you can define templates, JSON templates, and you can bring up the resources, and you can look at the create in progress. And let's go back and click. Let's say it has started creating an instance. Let me go ahead and launch one more instance, guys, and this is the template I'll be using for this one. So what are we doing in this one? Again, parameters, type a string. Our default is M1 small. Allowed values, we can have small, large, or these are the different value. Key, we need to go ahead and specify key. Again, we are defining a mapping here. And under EC2 resource and type, we are calling our key that we want to connect. Security group, we are using our web security group here. And this is our web security group that we have created. In that, we are allowing port 80 and a port SSH22. Output is interesting stuff. So you will use output to output the values inside the Amazon's cloud management console that you can get to see. So I will show you what I mean, the output. So you can click on this one and it will show you some of the details, guys. So right now for this one, there's nothing much. It says just create complete. And if you go back to the events, the only thing we did was just creating an EC2 instance. And if you want to confirm, just go back and click on EC2. And you can see now we have two running instances. We didn't assign any name. So this is our new guy. And you can get to see this one, the default rules and some of the other things. That's all pretty much, guys. I'm one small. Now let's go back to CloudFormation, and we'll make use of our new template. And I will walk you through that template one more time. Go ahead and click on create stack. I'll specify the URL to my JSON template. Just simply go ahead and click next. Call it EC2 with the maybe security group. Guys, you can give some interesting name. And as you can see, the instance type M1 small, M1 large, and M1 extra large. And if you recall that these are the instances that we had configured part of the allowed values, and default was M1. So we are just saying that you can bring instance type of either small, large, and extra large, and these are their description, and default was M1 small. That's the reason it showed this one. Enter key name. Key name, if you will see here, we are asked key name. Type string description, enter the key name pair. So it just you're asking us the key pair name. So let me go ahead and specify the name of my key. If I want to SSH, I will be able to SSH using my key pair. Just simply go ahead and click next, guys. We can give it a name. Let's call EC2 security group. Just to identify this guy, go ahead and click next. Some of that information again, and go ahead and click create. Now let's go back and look at the events and the letter progress, and let's run through this template one more time. So we are defining the parameters here. Parameters are input basically. So instant type we are asking for the string here. Default is M1 small, allowed values, and the description key name. We are asking for a key name here. We specified the type we specified was string. We created a mapping, a region map for our AMI IDs depending on the region where we are launching the image. We'll go ahead and pick the particular image ID. If I had launched in EU West one, I will pick this AMI ID to launch our EC2 instance. If you launch an US East one, I will pick this AMI ID. So hopefully you get the idea behind region map. And then we are doing a resource declaration, EC2 type instance, image ID. We are saying find in the map, and this is pretty nice syntax. Maybe once you type a couple of times, you will start remembering instance type. It's referencing to the instance type here. So if you recall, we are doing a ref here, guys. So reference a key name, we are doing a ref again to the key name. Security group, we are doing a ref to web security group. Here we are defining our web security group, time being the security group, and these are the properties. And in property, we are saying ingress traffic for port 80 and port 22. These are some of the things that we're displaying output. Instance ID, instead of the web server. Reference, we are referencing back to the EC2 instance. We are telling the availability zone, a public IP, and public DNS. So hopefully you get the idea. Let's go back and have a look where our stack is. So it says started, resource creation initiated. So it has went ahead and created our first security group. Now it's launching our EC2 instance. So give it a few minutes, guys, and hopefully we'll be done pretty quick. But I'm sure you got the idea behind the power of this CloudFormation template. You can go ahead and create this JSON template and pretty much start spinning up the resources. You don't have to go to each resource individually and trying to bring them up. So it says the instance creation completed. So if you want to verify, go back to the EC2 console here. We should have 3 instances now here. Okay, there are 3 instances, guys. And this is our EC2. And it's using this particular security group. That's where the EC2SG. And we had specified the key here. This is the key pair. So using this key pair, we'll be able to do an SSH. And if you want to look inside the security group, same port 80 and 22. Let's go back to our CloudFormation one more time. And here we go. It's already done, guys. So if you go ahead and expand this one, we didn't have much to do in this one. Created a security group and created an instance side. But if you go back to the outputs tab here, remember the output that we had configured here, guys? So here in the output, we had configured instance ID, availability zone, public IP, DNS name. And as you can see, here's the instance ID, availability zone, public IP, and public DNS. So hopefully you get the idea of defining this output section here. Again, in the output, we are calling instance ID. We're doing a reference just to simply to EC2. Availability zone, we are getting attribute for EC2's availability zone. Public IP, we are getting an attribute for EC2 instance public IP. For same thing for DNS. So that's all pretty much. And hopefully, if we launch the public IP, let's see. There was no web server or anything, guys. We didn't install, so that's fine. But I'm sure you got a good idea around the CloudFormation's power, guys. What you can really do with the CloudFormation. So it's pretty easy to, pretty nice. Once you get a hang, writing this JSON template, trust me, you will start loving them, guys. So go back again, so you can look at the Amazon's official documentation. There has a pretty good documentation around these this one, CloudFormation. So again, it gives you a developer administrator to easily spin up resources, and all that you have to do is create your instances, which are written in JSON. If you have no idea, just simply learn some of the basic thing that you want to do. You want to practice, writing some basic code, run them so you get a good hang, and then start combining your code or your JSON template slowly. They have pretty good examples also. Then you can look through different components and your resource type, their attributes, or whatever you're trying to do, some of that information. Like it says, walk through updating a stack. How do you update an existing stack? Once it's initially created, maybe you want to add some more ports or some custom data. Maybe we want to increase the allowed values type for instances, or maybe increase the mapping. All lot of things you can do, guys. As it says, AWS CloudFormation with VPC endpoints, you can launch your whole together complete a VPC, your elastic load balancer, guys. So it's pretty popular, powerful what you can do with the CloudFormation. It doesn't require you to learn any kind of programming language, but I know you may have to remember some of the basic syntax, but then not everything. If you need, you can always go ahead and look at some of these documentation. to see what you're trying to do. Maybe if you're lost, just look some of these documentation. Hey, let's say I'm trying to launch a VPC. Go ahead and click on VPC. Look what are the things that you need to specify. Okay, I need to specify the CIDR block. Hopefully, you remember that in our example we use like 10.0.0./16. Enable DN support, instance tenancy, and some of the other things. Once that is done, you can go ahead and define your connections, your endpoints, your maybe EC2 subnets, guys. So I know it will take a while to really get through this one, but I'm sure with this you will have at least a basic understanding about the Amazon's CloudFront template and what you can do with that one. So hopefully you got to learn something, and I'll see you some other time in some other AWS series. Thank you, and bye-bye.